911, where's the emergency?
I'd like a pizza for delivery.
Ma'am, you've reached 911. This is an emergency line.
Large with half pepperoni, half mushroom.
Do you have an emergency or not?
Yes.
And you're unable to talk because...
Right.
Ma'am, is there someone in the room with you?
Yes.
Okay, I've sent an officer. Can you stay on the phone with me?
No. See you soon. Thank you.
What do you know about domestic violence? Domestic violence is acts of aggression in order to control and maintain power over another person. It can include violence against a partner, relationship abuse, family violence, or even some cases of rape. This is an issue that happens possibly more than statistics reveal. According to the Social Explorer database, more than 4 million women report cases of physical assault and rape by their partners. In 95% of the cases reported, the man is usually the perpetrator and the woman is the victim of violence. Domestic violence happens on our campus and in our community around us. Nobody can ever be certain on exactly why domestic violence occurs. However, there are a couple explanations on why people do think it does occur. Many cases that should be reported are often overlooked. Domestic violence is a leading cause of injuries for women. Many women who are abused by a partner are often too afraid to say anything or do anything about it. Why is domestic violence happening, and what makes people commit these violent acts? There are many reasons men become violent with women and feel the need to show aggression. According to an article titled Understanding Sexual Aggression by Teresa Brown and Kenneth Sumner, the roles in men's abuse and sexual assault comes from a lot of different things. These things can be a family background. If they grow up seeing abuse and they see their parents abusing their kids, they're more likely to become violent themselves. Also, men and women can become aggressive due to their sexual history or their personality characteristics. Domestic violence can happen due to their partners in a relationship fearing that they are losing their relationship and need to regain control. With the feeling to gain control over the relationship, it might make a partner limit the other partner's activities by telling them who they can and can't hang out with or talk to. With these actions comes jealousy, which is likely to lead to violence between each other. It is important to know and understand the people you are around and the situation you are in. Men who are part of bigger groups and sports teams are more likely to be aggressive and a perpetrator of domestic violence. Men in large groups are predisposed to aggressiveness and will make them believe that it is in the norm. Men in fraternities are often around a drinking atmosphere, which can lead to sexual assault. Many men on sports teams are taught to be aggressive, leading them to believe aggression towards others outside of the sport is okay. If you know and understand the people you are associating yourself around, you can be more certain that you won't fall to being a victim of domestic violence. Domestic violence happens for a variety of reasons, and it is important to understand why it's important to discuss today. Domestic violence is a recurring issue that happens on and near college campuses frequently. For example, an article published by Douglas Dowdy on the Syracuse website, a former football player was recently arrested on our campus for sexually assaulting 2 acquaintances of his, both being women victims. This former SU student failed to get consent before he continued on with his actions. There has to be clear and full consent from both partners before intercourse. Lack of consent leads to rape. No means no in any sexual encounter. Being a college student, alcohol consumption is a common thing students do to have fun. However, with alcohol consumption, there can be violence. According to the Justice Statistics, 2/3 of victims that suffer from domestic violence, the perpetrator has been drinking. College students are often consuming drugs and alcohol with the intentions of hooking up with their partner or someone random later that night. There seems to be a cause and effect between alcohol and domestic violence. The consumption of alcohol leads to more cases of domestic violence, putting more and more college students at risk for violence. Drinking can lead to more arguments between relationships, which can lead to both physical and emotional aggression. It can also lead to lack of consent between 2 partners, making it not okay to proceed with any sexual actions. This is important to recognize today because our campus takes action in addressing domestic violence and tries to raise awareness of the issue. According to Syracuse News, our campus takes part in Shine the Light on Domestic Violence. This brings communities together to raise awareness to domestic violence and let victims know that there are people there for them if they need it. There is also Vera House, which is nearby and works closely with SU and SU students who need help. Counselors from campus and Vera House try to spread the awareness for Syracuse students. Domestic violence is putting relationships and individual safety at stake. It is important to realize when you don't feel safe in a relationship. People believe that domestic violence happens for a variety of reasons, this being the hope to save a relationship, the consumption of alcohol impairing one's actions, or even assuming consent when it is not given. This is important in our community because living on a college campus puts a lot of students at risk for domestic violence. This is an issue that is often overlooked and underrated for those who have not experienced domestic violence for themselves. Women ranging 16 to 24 at the highest rate for partner violence and experience physical abuse as well as emotional abuse. This issue is continuing to grow as physical violence is becoming more frequent and acceptable in today's society.